So, do you think then that the snow near you might be Fujisan dandruff, perhaps?
Want to test that theory?
Yeah, do a little shake.
Listen. We just got me snow back in Japan. Okay, we don't have enough
No,
to
no,
to
no,
go
no.
around.
Mm.
Okay, remember, we
Wasn't it
just a dip, just a
21
dip.
days? 21 days late?
21 days later than normal. Okay, better later than never.
Yeah, that's what Mrs.
Hey,
Fujisan said.
hey.
Hello and welcome back to Archaeoscoop. This is the show.
Where we look at news from archaeology, history, and the cultural sphere.
Yay! Yes, indeed. Yes, we do. And this week, this episode, I'm happy to say that there's no BBC sounds happening in the edit, at
I
least.
won't, I won't plague you. I won't plague you with my BBC voice this time. I make fun of Mark because no matter what, he always does the very, I mean, Mark is Welsh, but he always does the very British thing of saying, right,
Right.
when he's like, let's get to it, right. And I've had students ask me that before, saying, why did British people say right when they
Hmm.
want to leave a house? And I had to explain to them how this is their awkward sort of beginning to leave, instead of just saying, well, I'll let you go. I have to get on and do things.
Hmm.
But Mark always goes, right. And so I make fun of, I plague him for it and then do the BBC voice for a good 2 minutes.
Yes. Yes. Indeed. I could just say crack on. Let's crack on. That could work.
That's correct.
Let's get stuck in. Um,
Oh God. Yeah.
yeah. Let's with determination embark. No.
That's
Okay.
awful.
That
Oh
is awful.
God.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, you know what? Determination Bark. Speaking of which, this is our little bonus story for the week. I
Hmm.
forgot to mention that we just passed the 50th anniversary of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Cue the Gordon Lightfoot song that everybody in Canada knows.
The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy.
And I found out apparently that many people thought that this was a wreckage of like 300 years ago. People were very surprised to find out that the Edmund Fitzgerald only sank about 50 years ago in
Oh
in living people's lifetime. Did you know that, Mark?
no. Well, I wasn't entirely familiar with a time frame. I've heard the name, but in that sense, I didn't know enough about it to be surprised by it. So,
I would
but
say now the song is probably more famous than the shipwreck,
hmm.
but because of a Gordon Lightfoot song, a lot of people know about the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Hmm.
But people thought that, it was some crazy wreck in the East China Sea or something like that. But no, it actually was here, just sank in Lake Superior, and they had contact with other ships until there was a storm that broke out. And to this day, so obviously what the song goes on is that to this day, the wreckage is still in Lake Superior. It's never been
Hmm.
exhumed. Everybody aboard died, and we have no idea what happened.
Hmm.
Um, there's the whole three waves theory. There's the whole they say that the hull took on water,
Hmm.
but then why, if it was slowly sinking, why would all the people aboard have died, etc. So it's a great mystery.
This is. I seem to recall this was covered by Ask a Mortician, wasn't it?
That I don't know,
I
but possibly.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was about the idea that the ship that basically it's going to be a perfectly preserved conditions for the dead, and that they won't be they
Nope.
the ship won't be releasing the dead anytime soon. So yeah,
Nope.
yeah.
They will not be exhumed. They are still
Mm,
down there,
mm,
in Lake Superior. So,
mm. Wow.
sad for what happened, but thank you, Gordon Lightfoot, for an excellent song.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, a lot of people had no idea. I found out that many people, even people who are in their 50s, didn't realize that the ship had only sunk 50 years ago. They thought that it was some great grand vessel like a Spanish galleon. No, nope, it
No,
was
no,
not.
no.
Um,
A
so
superior vessel, indeed.
anyway, Mark, what's your first story?
Well, actually, this week it's your turn to go first.
There was such a glut, a plethora of good archaeology news
Hmm.
that I actually had difficulty choosing. And I sent Mark last night. There was a brand new Roman hoard that was just discovered, but that's
Mm,
not my first story. My first story is the earliest written notes in Western musical history discovered in Pennsylvania. And this is
okay.
pretty interesting. Obviously, for all the music nuts, yes, we do have other music notation. We have songs that go all the way back to Mesopotamia, and that's the oldest song we know of. But this is Western musical notation.
Mm, hmm.
So, a ninth century manuscript for Easter services remained out of sight for years in the hands of a private collector. This is why it belongs in a museum, kids. Researchers in Pennsylvania have uncovered what they believe some of the earliest written notes in Western musical history. A ninth century manuscript they say remained hidden in plain sight. It was in his pocket for years in the hands of a private collector. The notations, characters and dots similar to shorthand and outlines,
Hmm.
appear above the word Alleluia on the document, a vellum manuscript leaf from Latin sacramentary, a Catholic liturgical book used in Western Europe during Mass from the mid to late 800s. While earlier written forms of ancient musical notes exist, notably, as I said, the hymn to Nikal from carved into clay tablets dated between 1400 and 1200 BC, sacramentary markings are among the first known depiction of the birth of modern Western music, according to researchers. They were discovered by historian and author Nathan Rabb,
Hmm.
president of the Rabb Collection. How convenient. During the evaluation of the document presented to him by the private owner, Rab believes that the notations were previously overlooked and misunderstood, and said he spent months researching their origin and their significance. He says
Mm.
this is an incredibly early witness to our modern use of musical notation. At its very dawn, its discovery is a further reminder to us in the business of historical discovery that sometimes those discoveries are hidden in plain sight.
Mm.
Since the document was probably created in Germany, and if you're in case you're wondering where it came from, because very obviously ninth century, it did not come from the US, even though it was found in Pennsylvania. Impossible. The document was probably created in Germany in the second half of the ninth century, Rab said, and the text is for Easter services. The notation marks, inflections, and accents above the word represent instructions for the rising and falling pitch as a visual aid to the singer.
Mm.
That's it. Earliest surviving examples of musical notation in Western music are the manuscript of the Leon Gradual, the Gregorian chant, housed in the Municipal Library in Lyon, France, and the Cantatorium of St. Gall in the Abbey Library of St. Gallen, Switzerland. They
Okay.
both date to the early 10th century.
Okay. So this is pushing it back by another 100 years or so. Yeah.
How much do you think this is worth, Mark?
Is he selling it?
That is what I am wondering because there is a price on it. I
Uh.
don't think he would, but I think maybe this is what they bought it for, or maybe the private collector asked for this, but it says that it is valued at a certain price. So let's play the Price is Right, Mark. Da-da-da,
I'm go-
da-da-da.
I'm gonna go ridiculously reasonable and say $500.
Closest to the actual value is Bob Barker spinning the wheel. Is $80,000.
Oh, okay. That wasn't too bad. That's not okay. Yeah, because initially I was thinking it's
Not
going to
as
be like
close as
three
the nearest
million or
dollar,
something.
Mark.
But no, no, no. Okay, 80,000. I can see that. I can see that. Yeah. Interesting. Previously, as you say, yeah, the earliest notation has been a little bit later, but it's interesting when you look at the history of music, especially choral music. It's one of the best connections that we have to the possibility of understanding how Roman music sounded. We have examples of Roman instruments and also actually
hmm
instruments for like the lyre, etc., that come into Northern Europe just after the Roman period. But this idea of how they were played, I once heard a recitation of Beowulf, where someone had what a lyre, and they were sort of doing tunes, and if it was very abstract, it was very free form, and more like it was almost more like a sort of a drone setting for the voice, really.
Don't judge his musical ability, Mark.
No, no. But I mean a musical drone. but actually, the structure of the music and presumably the actual music of just after the Roman period is best preserved in early Christian songs, essentially, and choral structures. And it's interesting. The history of music from that standpoint then eventually leads into the thing that I can't stand the most about church music, and that is just how astonishingly basically Protestant it sounds. It's just that sort of
I disagree, Mark. P-A-S-U
no. That's good. That's good. I'm talking about where it went, and so it went from there, and then ended up essentially. If you sing the British national anthem, that's the worst of Protestant music as well. God, and then often as well in a register that's a bit too high for people who don't sing regularly as well. So it's yeah, I like the early church stuff. They should have worked on that. That was good. What happened to the band, But
From Gregorian chants to the Halo hymns.
yeah. Well, my first story of the week of the episode. So this is not a Senightly show. Of the fortnight is the story of a gold jar from Galloway, found in a Galloway Hoard, is on display for the first time. This is a jar that was discovered back in 2014 by a metal detectorist, as they often seem to be these days. It's on display to the public for the first time. 5 centimeters or 2 inches high, the jar is part of the Galloway Hoard, a collection described as one of the most important in UK archaeological history. Really, certainly discoveries of the century. Decorated with gold filigree and intricate metalwork, experts say it resembles a perfume bottle. When the jar was found, it was wrapped in lengths of linen, placed in a silk-lined purse, and experts initially used 3D X-ray imaging to view the jar inside its wrapping without risking damaging the treasure. The jar was separated from its wrapping using painstaking care over a series of months, and due to these careful actions, the textile preservation method was successful. This is the first time the object has been seen outside its wrappings in public. Dr. Martin Goldberg from the National Museum Scotland said the rock crystal jar is one of the highlight objects from the Galloway Hoard. The jar was subject of international attention when we first revealed the inscription, and it's great to be able to put it on display for the first time in Kirkcudbright. Yes, I can say that word properly. Thank you very much. Due to gaps in the 9th century church records, it's not been possible to precisely identify Fitzgerald. Shite. I shouldn't have bragged.
Spoke too soon.
Fitzgerald, I think, but he was most likely a Northumbrian bishop. The inscription shows clearest evidence that the hoard comes from a church or religious community in the early medieval kingdom of Northumbria. And this includes Dumfries, Galloway, and stretched all the way from Edinburgh to Sheffield. Initially. The research on the hoard has been supported by Arts and Humanities Research Council, the AHRC, who gave £1 million to the 3-year project. And it's going to be on display until June the 14th. 2026, so I may well pop up to take a look. The initial reporting of the find, with actually another beautiful photo of it. Actually, I'll be sharing this link as well. Was last year, this summer, June 2025.
What year is it, Mark?
What year is it?
It was brand new.
No. What year is it?
1995. Remember?
And they talked about it being a Viking hoard specifically,
But is it really, Mark?
What's
the year on it?
Exactly. It's a 9th, 10th century hoard, so it's not
Early Norse. years.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's a beautiful object, and also actually interestingly, there's a another little article connected with it. It was recommended by the BBC, and I went, oh yes, I'll click on that. This is where I got confused. This was from the 21st of September 2024. This was last year. Was another little jar that was in the context 10 years on from the discovery of the Galloway Hoard. A jar that seemingly came from central Iran and was transported halfway around the world more than 1,000 years ago, they say.
Wow.
And again, they used X-rays, 3D modeling to recreate how it would have looked. They've kept the concretions, a lot of the concretions on it, for a while, and then bit by bit cleaned those, essentially rust off the vessel. And it's another very fine item. So this hoard is utterly gorgeous. And actually, the jar, that's cool. Actually, the photo further down the article, you get to see the jar next to the perfume bottle, and it shows actually how wee the perfume bottle actually is. It's quite small.
Oh,
Yeah. And in that article, actually, what they say here is, we now know that Viking Age silver makes up most of the hoard and was melted down from coins and metalwork from early medieval England. So obviously Museum Scotland is very happy about that, and more than happy to put it on display. But yeah,
wait, was it melted down before or after?
oh, it would have been after they took it, but before it was buried.
Okay.
I'm
Because
presuming.
it's just not clear from the then, considering that the Louvre is
Oh yeah, yeah.
dealing with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Then we had a comment from someone from the British Museum on that article as well. Dr. Sue Brunning from the British Museum. We're delighted that visitors to Silk Road will be the first in the world to see this key object from the Galloway Hoard. So it was on display in the BM in 2024. Yeah. Okay. London, man, they always get it. They always get their hands on things.
It's where the money is,
Sticky
unfortunately.
hands, sticky. Anyway, what's your next story?
Well, we talk about that too here because we have the Musée des Beaux-Arts, which is quite big, but if anything that's nationally important immediately goes to the National Museum, which is in Ottawa. And it's a wonderful museum, absolutely incredible. If you can ever get the chance, please go to the National
Are
Museum
you
in
saying
Canada.
that I ought to go there?
I really hate this. I hate this so much. I hate this so much. What's amazing, Mark, is Ottawa is not only there's also in French there's another place called Ottawa, which is
Uh-huh.
completely spelled differently, and it's
Ah,
not the same place. So
okay.
you could make that joke doubly in
Yeah,
the same sentence.
yeah.
But it's the same thing here, where we have very very little in the way of antiquities, and our Musée des Beaux-Arts has been under construction for like 3 years,
Hmm.
so half the stuff is in archive now.
Right.
And so we have the beautiful Kent Monkman exhibit, which I was very lucky to go to. And he's one of my favorite artists. And he's a classically trained artist who
Hmm.
does a very interesting interpretations of classical pieces, but with native narratives. Really, really incredible. And I even bought
Mm.
his book. It was so amazing. And I'm very grateful for those things. But most of the time, we have to wait till we get a tour of some artifacts that are touring. Like we had the whole Rembrandt one time, we had the Da Vinci one time, George O'Keeffe one time. You have to wait, and so we have exhibits that are on for like 3 months. You pay to
Hmm.
get it's a pretty fair price, like $25 you pay to go, but that's it, and we don't really get a lot of other things. So I feel your pain, Mark,
Mm.
in that
Mm.
anything of cultural importance or national importance, we have to wait for. If
Mm.
it's going to places like the National First, we have no choice. It is what it is, and it goes where the money is, and
Mm.
we just don't have it, and that's that.
Well, as a slight aside there, you and I would be interested in this, and maybe some of our audience would. Just before we started recording, I saw an advert saying, new Studio Ghibli shop is opening in the UK. I was like, oh, it was like,
And
opening
it's
in
London.
London. It's like, oh, that's this
Oh,
is,
every time,
yeah.
it's the same thing here. Whenever they're like, oh, it's opening in Toronto, and I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
that is 7 hours away. I
Yeah.
cannot go.
No, no.
No, there's no point.
Mhm.
Or opening in Vancouver, which is like a 22-hour drive, so there's no
Mhm.
point.
Mhm.
Speaking of once in a lifetimes,
I
this
think it's
story,
speaking of no point. Like,
oh, there is a point to this.
okay, yeah,
This is something that people thought there was no point to.
okay.
And this is Spanish photographer captures world's first ever white Iberian lynx on camera. And
Interesting.
you have to see this photo
Hmm.
and he got the lynx right here. And the cat is doing a typical cat pose of it going like doing its paws down in the front and going, "What are you doing?" Very typical cat pose, which is very funny. The genetic anomaly testifies to the good progress of the lynx pardonus conservation plans in the two countries of the Iberian Peninsula after release began in 2011 when the species was essentially extinct.
Okay.
And so it's called the white ghost of the Mediterranean forest. This is how Angel Hidalgo, an amateur nature photographer, described his latest find while reviewing the images. So he didn't even realize what he had caught until he reviewed the images from his photo trapping cameras placed in the depths of one of Jaén's mountain ranges in northern Spain. Hidalgo managed to record an Iberian lynx with leucism, a genetic condition that causes a partial or total lack of pigmentation in its skin, although not in the eyes,
Mm,
as would occur in the case of albino animals or
mm,
albino. Let me
mm.
run- According to local media, this unprecedented discovery took place on the 22nd of October. The place where the specimen of Lynx pardonus has been recorded in the wild, as attested by the absence of the tracking collar, is kept secret. So he
Nice.
caught this completely by accident, and nobody is saying where this is. So don't even try to find it.
No.
The Iberian lynx, despite conservation efforts in the Spanish and Portuguese authorities, is still listed as extremely vulnerable by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. The Spanish Ministry of Ecological Transition estimates that the animal's population once exceeded 2,000 in 2023 and spread across the two countries. The animals have spread to geographical areas such as Sierra Morena and Montañas de Toledo, the Spanish-Portuguese Guandina Basin, and Doñana, as well as other places where they are being reintroduced that would have been unthinkable until a few years ago. And so that's that. But it's really amazing that he happened to capture this
Nice.
completely by accident and it's looking right at the camera. It's really incredible.
Well, the ghost of the Mediterranean forest. That was my nickname when I used to go nude camping.
I too, I was
I
going
was
to
so
say before,
pale.
Mark, I too was a well-kept burnished hoard. Yes.
Yeah. All I can think now is essentially me being Gandalf the White, blinding the Fellowship, and then you just in a cabinet, just like just
You coming back at the turn of the tide, your
yeah,
head on Gandalf's body,
yeah,
and me inside Edoras going, I look beautiful, beautiful.
yeah. Dude, I'm an heirloom of the kingdom. Well, my second story of the episode is as follows. It's actually from Popular Mechanics, whom I have really grown to love over the course of this series. I'd never,
It's a good magazine.
yeah, it's a great magazine, and I never previously really noticed it for some reason. But they do good. They give good mass, and in this instance, they do good archaeology. And the headline is Archaeologists found a 5,000-year-old tomb that may be a gateway to a prehistoric kingdom.
Ooh, is it Merlin's Cave, Mark? Is it Merlin's Cave?
No, no, but it is also, according to the subheading, it's also a gateway to a huge collection of pig jaws.
Ooh, somebody had a barbecue.
Yeah. So it's again, I love the way that they lay out their articles. Here's what you'll learn if you read this story. They say excavations in central China have uncovered a 5,000-year-old tomb filled with the artifacts of the Daowenkou culture. Experts believe the size of the tomb and the wealth of the artifacts show the owner was a prehistoric king. Again, if
A person of status.
yes, yes,
A person of status. And again, as Mark and I talked about yesterday when we were recording something else, we're like, wealthy is a very loaded word.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
are they wealthy? Are they wealthy in their society? Do we consider them wealthy just because they had lots of metals? Maybe lots of people had precious metals back
Yeah.
then.
So, and in that sense, anthropologically, people often talk about other terminologies for people who have social, resource-based, and familial power. And sometimes terms like big. So the big man, for example, it used to be a term. And but obviously, no, not obviously, sorry, but interestingly, big man can also describe a big woman. So in that sense, king,
I too am described as the big woman.
and the big woman around these parts. But no, in that sense, the king, the term king, comes with an awful lot of baggage. That's why I
Yes.
was like,
King of what? King of what
yeah,
kingdom?
exactly.
If he has no kingdom, is he really a king? Yeah.
Yeah.
A person of high status.
Yes. The diversity of artifacts within the excavation also offers cultural connections beyond one region. Archaeologists uncovered a range of tombs in the Wangzuang ruins. This is for shush. I can hear your face. Like this fall.
I can feel my face. I can't. I am emoting with with my face going.
Exactly. Ruins this fall in central China's Henan province. Especially exciting is Tomb M27, which likely belonged to a prehistoric king or person of some status, judging by the size of the tomb, coffins, and also the bounty of burial artifacts. In fact, experts now believe that the entire site could have been the capital of a prehistoric kingdom, stemming from the ancient Neolithic Dawankou culture that existed from 4000 BCE to 2600 BCE. The latest discovery indicates that the Wangzuang ruins are not an ordinary settlement, but rather the capital of this prehistoric power base. Zhu Guanghua, associate professor at Capital Normal University.
How do you spell it, Mark?
Guanghua.
Okay,
Is it Guanghua?
might be.
Yeah.
Depends on the dialect.
Associate professor at Capital Normal University. That's a cool university name. My degree is totally normal. Nothing unusual about this degree. And a lead architect of the excavation said, according to China Daily, that the size of the tomb serves as the first clue, running around 15 feet long, stretching roughly 12 feet wide. It's one of the largest from the period, and even the wooden coffin is impressive and, in that sense, impressively preserved, with an inner and outer vessel together measuring 100.
An innie and an outie.
Yeah. 182 square foot in total. Additionally, inside the tomb were about 350 burial artifacts, including almost 200 jade ornaments, bone tools, animal remains, 100 pieces of pottery. The presence of pig mandibles, the most common animal bone in the tomb, was also a signifier of wealth. Now, what I'm interested about is this idea of it being entrance to another world in that sense.
How did they know that?
Yeah, the M27. So it just sounds like a motorway here in the UK. The M27 on its way
Connecting
to Manchester.
to the A1.
Yes, exactly. M27 was the most prominent find at the site, but archaeologists uncovered a total of 45 tombs from the Dawankou culture. The exquisite pottery, stone tools, and jade artifacts vividly demonstrate the division of labour, level of productivity at the time, said archaeologist Liu Haiwang. The richness of the burial objects is closely linked to the size of the tombs, indicating a clear social hierarchy. So we're getting some of the attributes of a stratified society, and therefore maybe at the top possibly could talk about king. And to be fair, we probably shouldn't be too critical of other archaeologists using that word in the context of their archaeology. The only thing is, though, with it being prehistoric, you can't, it's lots of the things that we think of as being associated with the king, legal structures and so on and so forth, are unlikely to have been in place in the same way, I guess. Yeah.
So king very loosely, not necessarily
Yeah,
an elected official.
exactly. And actually, to be fair, in that sense, the headline, while I couldn't help but read it as being a gateway to a prehistoric kingdom, as in almost Jules Verne, like you step into the center of the world. I think what they're getting at is that this is figuratively a gateway, to understanding a prehistoric power base. So yeah, really cool, cool discovery, and in the context of well, actually, this last little bit here, artifacts spanning eastern and central regions of ancient China and the Yangtze River Basin. Its discoveries testify to the initial exchanges of early Chinese civilization, providing evidence for the nature of diversity within Chinese civilization. So it's also far-reaching, and I guess that is one of the markers of often, at the very least, highly organized power structures. Again,
Yeah.
Kingship is an interesting one. I suppose, to put it another way, you wouldn't expect there to be, this isn't like a dynastic situation as far as we can tell. So, especially in context of China, but cool and rich, and rich with artifacts. So yeah, I liked it, and also good reporting. Popular Mechanics, man.
Yeah, they're really great.
Yeah. One more thing to point out is that the animated gifs that people can find if they type in Archaeoscoop are doing actually rather well. I keep on getting notifications saying, this is being very popular. So this week, for example, the Back to the Past animated gif reached, I think it was 20 or something shares. So, and people are just finding it without really us pushing it that much. So do check them out, do use them, do have fun with them. More will be added soon.
Somebody was looking for the We Hate the Victorians ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually now I think there are 3 that people can choose from, just because you hate the Victorians so much.
So
It's
much.
quite impressive.
We were talking about Frankenstein, and but obviously she wasn't a Victorian. But we were talking about Dickens and how, because juxtaposing, Frankenstein versus the ideas that Mary Shelley put forth in Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. Versus how awful Dickens was as a human being. And so all the horrible things that Mary Shelley went through in her life, losing all her kids, her husband, who was an idiot and died in a boating accident when he could not swim. And yet what a masterful commentary she had about living humanity and the human existence and the human experience. Whereas you have Charles Dickens, who was probably one of the worst humans possible in the universe. And people are like, oh, he must have been a lovely man because look what he wrote about the Christmas. And then when you actually read about his life and how he tortured his wife and brought a mistress who was several decades younger than him under his roof, and then also possibly did bad things with his wife's sister, you realize, wow, this man was really, really horrible. And despite what with the delightful Dan Stevens says, and he is delightful, Dickens was a horrible man. And that is why I can't bother reading. I mean, his books are incredible and his characters are fantastic. But I read his books but I know, and that's the worst part of it, is that I know that he is such an awful human being that I can't really enjoy his books anymore. I still do read his Christmas Carol, but because he wasn't necessarily a Scrooge, but he was just a very bad man. Yeah. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you doing.
Yeah, well, we're not quite there yet. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. And for me, actually, since we're ending on a bit of a downer, certainly Neil Gaiman has gone down that route for me. I find it very hard to enjoy his writing, unfortunately.
That's why I've got plenty of books for you kids.
Cue advert.
If you're a fan of Beauty and the Beast, but you wish the Beast had stayed the Beast, have I got a book for you. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, only this time with werewolves. Oh my god, me and Mr. Blythe ready. Even got his special hat on. Shadow Beast is up on Amazon, and if you want stories of werewolf princes, this is the one for you. Because just like Belle, we were all bitterly disappointed by Prince Adam.
Shadow Beast is available for pre-order now. If your cursed beast of a boyfriend with a heart of gold has transformed into Dollar Store Fabio, look no further. Side effects may include healing childhood disappointment and deep satisfaction.
Do you like monsters? Are you a girly pop that loves the beasts? I
Yeah.
have plenty of those books for you.
Yeah, excellent. There you go. Perfect. Grand. Right. Thank you so much for watching, folks at home. Please do comment below if you have anything to add to the conversation. That sounds a bit weird, actually, to say it like that. If you have anything
Tell,
that you'd like to add to
tell
the
us your
conversation,
favorite Christmas tale.
yes, do comment below. If there's any news stories you'd like us to take a look at in future episodes, also comment below. And of course, do check out those animated GIFs and Michelle's wonderful writing. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.